It's time for the sharpest minds in the beauty industry to come together from around the world to share their brilliance, knowledge, and know-how to help you grow personally and professionally. These are the industry disruptors, the trendsetters, the leaders that think differently and change the standards forever. This is Lessons with Legends with your host, Jason Everett.
What's going on, guys? It's Jason. I hope you are doing amazing today. I have got a really good, really incredible Lessons with Legends guest today that I think you guys are going to get a lot out of. It's very rare that I find people who are willing to, do the artistic thing and do the hustle thing and make everything work in a way that is extraordinary. And if you guys are brand new, by the way, to Lessons with Legends, would you do me a favor and say newbie in the chat? If you have been around with us for a while and you are part of the crew that has made Lessons with Legends awesome and been part of other shows with us, do me a favor and say part of the crew, because I'd love to know if you guys have been on with us for a while or not. That would be fantastic. Love to get into that and figure it out. The guy that I have on today, you've probably seen in some of the pre-roll for some of the stuff that we've done for the show. You've probably seen some of the pictures, some of the images, and the guy who's on today is nothing short of incredible. His name is John Mosley. And John and I met, we were out doing an event, I think it was for Millennium. And I met this guy, and I just something about him just said that he just gets it done. And I was watching some of his videos, I was really impressed with his content, and I just thought if there's any way I can bring him in and get some more people to kind of know what he's about, know what he's doing, and I think his personality is said a lot by just his brand itself. His brand is called Popular Nobody. And John Mosley is everything. I would just say he's everything that you need as far as like the popular and nobody. I think is a little tongue in cheek, which is freaking awesome. Is that he really does a lot. He makes it happen and he gets it done. And I really like his vibe. I like what he's about. He's done some really incredible stuff. He helped initiate the barbering program at the Paul Mitchell schools. He's done some really incredible work. He not only travels around the country all the time, I think, in fact, he's actually traveling right now from the premiere Orlando show. He's about to jump on a plane and go to Oklahoma and then jump on a plane and go to Louisiana. This dude hustles hard, and what I think you will like about him is his amazing humility and his ability to communicate with other people, which I think you're really going to find awesome as we go through today's show. But I want to give you a little taste and a little tease of what John is all about. So check this out and then get ready to welcome to the show, John Mosley. All right, hang on, guys. Check this out.
People got a bad perception of hairstylists. Your family might be watching this and saying this is a bunch of crazy people, but this is nothing but a bunch of passionate artists, passionate people. And sometimes the word artist doesn't necessarily mean money because you don't necessarily take it as a business. But if you take this art form that you can grow in and treat it like a business, you're gonna be successful. With success comes letdown and comes discouragement. And you have to be strong enough mentally to overcome the letdowns and overcome the discouragement and push through. Every day you're gonna be faced with a new challenge, but there's no shortcut to life. It's only north and south. You're either gonna push forward, you're gonna stay stagnant, or you're gonna overcome everything and keep moving. And for me, you have to fight. You have to push. You have to know that everything is gonna be okay. Just keep pushing.
Popular Nobody, a.k.a. John Mosley, who is rocking through the airport right now. He still made it happen. He's like, dude, I had an earlier flight than I thought, but I'm going to do this interview. Bro, how are you?
I'm good, man. Walking through the airport right now.
Dude.
I got my wife carrying bags. I'm carrying bags. We're just trying to make it happen.
I love it. Now, you just were out at Premiere Orlando, right? How was that show? Was that show awesome?
Yeah, that show was great. I had four classes there, three with Hattori Hanzo Shears.
Yeah.
And then I had one with the leading barber panel, like the leading barbers, who they considered leading barbers of the industry. Leading
barbers, which obviously you are one of those people, even though they've put you on the panel or not. Like, that's a good day. And dude, you do some incredible work. I'm so grateful to have you on the show. Thanks for carving out a minute in your busy #hustle life setup that you got going on, man. I really appreciate you making it happen. And for those of you guys that are watching, if you're on with me live right now, do me a favor and say Kicking It Live. And here's the thing. A lot of people burn through airports all the time. Very rare that people get interviewed for a show while hustling through the airport. That's a game changer, man. And I know when we talked last time, you're like, I just make it happen. And I think that's really what today's show is all about. We were talking, you were telling about what you do, and I had made a comment about somebody else's quote that they said, you do an event like what you just did. You're on stage at Premiere Orlando, and people come up to you, John, and they're like, dude, I love what you're doing. I love what you're about. I want to do some of the things that you're doing one day. And the question in my mind always is, do you want to do what I just did on that stage? Or do you want to do what I've done to get there? And we just kind of connected on that, right? And you were like, yeah, that's really what it takes. Is the work required to get to that stage is much more than the work to be on the stage, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct, basically.
Yeah, and I think the jam that I want to talk to you about today is, dude, I don't know a lot of people that outwork what you do. I mean, you hustle hard, and you put it in there, and I really appreciate it. But, dude, before we go too deep, I got to ask you a get-to-know-you question. I didn't ask this last time. I want to ask it this time. Dude, if you had an unlimited budget, you could jump on a plane and not have to go somewhere for work, but you go anywhere you want in the world that you've never been to before, where would you go? What would you do?
Seeing that my wife loved the beach, so it'd probably be like somewhere where we could sit in one of those little on the water huts.
Yeah.
Where you could like just jump in the water right from your room and
chill
for a minute. Something like that. Somewhere you disconnect with the internet life.
Yeah, I like it. And it's Jessica's your wife, right?
Yes.
Is she there? Can we give Jessica a what's up, by the way?
I want to say what's up. You want to say hi?
What's up, Jessica? So good. Thanks for letting us steal him. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks for letting you steal me.
Oh, always.
Right on. All right. Thanks, Jessica. So yeah, dude. I mean, I think that girl deserves to go to a hut on the beach. That's all I'm saying. I think
you deserve to go to a hut on a beach.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should go, man. As does my lady too. So let's be clear. I think all our girls need to go to a hut on the beach. So, dude, I know you do a lot of work with Hattori Hanzo. I know you've done some really incredible stuff. Like, you've been on the road with Eminem, Rihanna, all types of celebrities like Kendrick Lamar. Like, dude, you've done the celebrity thing. You've done the on-stage thing. You've done all these things. But that's the end result. Like, that's the stuff that you've done. I want to rewind back to, Baby John pre-barber. Dude, what?
Hey, you know what's funny? My family still call me Baby John.
Baby John. Well,
dude,
that's my little piece of history I dug up on you. No, I'm just kidding. That just happened how I am. So, dude, tell me about, rewind back. When did this whole thing get started for you? How did it start? Because I know you weren't always doing stuff like this.
Well, honestly, it started with my mother. When I was in barber college, she put me on stage. My mother's big into education as far as in the beauty industry. So she threw me on stage right out the gate, and I kind of fell in love with it. And I got the love for sharing my information that through experience I've gained, and that all happened, and that's when it all started. I used to go to cosmetology schools at nighttime and offer like a free class with no company connected to it.
Yeah, you were just doing education before you were getting paid to do education.
Man, the legwork.
Yeah. So, okay, so what got you, I mean, your mom was doing it, so has this always been something that you were like, since the beginning you wanted to do, like no questions to what you're doing?
No, I just wanted to be like the superstar in the neighborhood. Like, I just wanted to work hard for the community that I was in.
Yeah.
And then it just turned around into something totally different.
Yeah. So at what point? I mean, so that was early on. You went to barber school. You started getting on stage. You started doing that stuff. When did you know something was different? Like, was it when the Popular Nobody piece came in and got attached to it? Was it like, you did a couple classes and you're like, you don't want to do this forever? Like, at what point did you know something big was going to happen for you, or that was going to start to accelerate what you were doing from doing all these big shows and events, stuff like that?
Honestly,
or do you know?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know. I just knew that if I stayed consistent with my customer service, that the community will continue to, my community will get behind me and let the people speak for who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
So to me, that's what happened. And then after that, it just started rolling, and companies starting to, hear who I was and heard things about me, and then it just held over into that. And I'm still like a kid in the candy store, man. When I get
Yeah.
called to do education and stuff like that, I'm very, very excited from it. So
Yeah, I mean, dude, I will tell you, even when, when I called you, you were like, man, I always love taking phone calls like this. I always love knowing what's next. Like, I love your analogy about being a kid in the candy store because, like, it was like that, Like, when I met, you were like, yes, let's do this. Yes, let's do that. And I think that's the, sometimes you're like, well, let me see if I can do that. I'm kind of busy, And you were like, look, I'm busy and I want to do it. And I think that's a different attitude than what a lot of people have, right? So
right.
I want to know, like, what are some things? I mean, like, for example, you just do a premiere in Orlando. You're jumping on a plane right now to go to Oklahoma to do a class tomorrow, right?
Right.
And then on Wednesday, I know that you've got another class. You're doing a Hattori Hanzo, like, one-day event in Louisiana, like, the next day. So, dude, what does a typical week look like for you? Like, how many education events are you doing in a week, for crying out loud?
I typically do maybe about 9 classes a week.
9 classes a week. And let me also clarify that I remember you also were behind the chair. Like, last time I talked to you, you would you're like, I just finished up a client. I think you said, I got off a plane, went back to the salon, did a class, and then I met with you at the salon or at the barbershop right after you'd done somebody's hair. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. I'm still behind the chair. Like, I still get off the plane and go straight to the salon. And, like, it's just the life, man. It's the hustle. It's the small things that separate the great people from the average people. It's the things that you do. Like I said, getting off a plane, going to do, 3 or 4 clients and keeping that movement.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that are like, man, I'm just going to be really honest, John. Like, there's a lot of people that are just like, that sounds like a lot of hard work. Like, I don't want to do it. It's not my thing. Like, who would want to jump on a plane and go do all this? And, like, I just sound exhausted just listening to you. And by the way, if you love to work hard and you love to hustle, would you guys do me a favor and hit the heart button right now on the chat or on the feed right now? Just hit the heart button for me. I want to know if you guys are in the hustle mindset. But, John, I want to know, like, how did you get to the point where you want to work that hard and make great things happen? Like, because I think it takes a bigger picture than just, I'd like to work hard and make a couple extra bucks. Like, what got you there?
It's okay. It's just I don't know, man. Some people got that bone, and some people don't have it. I got that bone. Like, I played sports my whole life, so.
Yeah.
Camaraderie is big for us, leadership is big, and just through practice, you execute. And I used to be a Pop Warner football coach, and I used to say, if we practice at 110%, when we get in the game, if we drop down to 90%, we're still better than everybody else.
Right. Yeah, because you're practicing at that level at that point, right?
Correct. You're just practicing at the level of executing above and beyond what you would typically normally do, or what most people will average. Most people just, they get to a certain point and they're like good in that point and they're settled in that point. I'm never settled in that point. Like, I want to keep achieving new goals. I want to keep achieving new heights. I want to keep setting the bar higher and higher because I feel like so many people look up to me and they're influenced by what I'm doing. So if you're coming, you got to come up just as hard as I'm coming. Right. It's not harder to catch me.
Right. And I think that's a huge difference, right, in people that don't work hard. Now, as you know, I work with a lot of salon owners in our High Performance Salon Academy, and I will tell you, dude, and you mentioned, well, let me keep going, but I work with a lot of salons. I got tripped on my thought there. But, like, I work with a lot of salons, and one of the challenges they always ask is, like, how do you motivate somebody, right? And you said, like, some people have the bones, some people don't, right? So I guess I'm going to ask you, like, A, do you think that people can be motivated? And then B, like, if yes, how? And if not, then how do you find people that are already motivated?
You'll be able to see who's already motivated by their own work ethic. Some of them got great work ethic, but no guidance. Mm-hmm. So it looks a little lost. And then if you don't have that work ethic, you have to get around a group of people, not one person, but a group of people is going to always keep you motivated to work. So if you're a salon owner watching this, you have to work harder than your staff because they know that they can't take days off because the boss don't take days off. There's no party. And I learned that from Gary Vee. He was like, crushing it. And if you're going to crush it as a boss, you can't party. You can party, but you can't really show that all the time and just sit back and and think that your team is going to respect that. Like, you have to put in that grind just as much as your team is going to. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the mindset that I have. And then when to pull the best out of people, you have to know those people's strengths. You have to know their strengths. You have to know their weaknesses. And once you understand somebody's strengths and weaknesses, then you know how to make their weaknesses become their strengths and enhance what they're already strong at. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you'll get that motivation, because now what they were weak at is stronger, so they're excited about doing certain things more and more and more.
Right.
So if you have a stylist in your salon that's great at color, challenge them to cut more. And once they become good at cutting, now you're going to see your revenue turn around, because now it's like, well, damn, this person can do cut and color, and they're a beast at both.
Totally.
And because they're getting rewarded that, as hairdressers, we are instant gratification people. That's why when Instagram came out, we were like, yes. Because now you can get the instant satisfaction of showing the world what you're capable of and getting that love back from it. So just finding the strengths and weaknesses inside your employees and the people that you choose to be around with, and then everybody pitch in and raise that community up together.
Yeah, I love it, man. And speaking of Instagram, by the way, if you guys do not follow John on Instagram, you can find him at @PopularNobody on Instagram. I believe that's your YouTube handle as well, and it's John Mosley on Facebook, right? That's how they can track you down, stalk you that way?
Yes, sir.
Is there any other social channels they need to track you down on, or are those the main places for you?
That's it.
You don't have your LinkedIn profile or MySpace profile isn't up to date? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, my MySpace profile is still up to par. I still got some music on there.
Yeah, I got some glitter sparkles up in the top corner. I know what you got. Okay, so dude, and by the way, I mean, you do an amazing job. Your Instagram is fantastic. There's some really great stuff that you share. You put out great videos and content, which is what really got my attention. Is, I meet a lot of people, but it takes a lot to translate what you do on stage into what you can do on camera. And I think a lot of times people ask me questions all the time. How do I motivate my staff to start putting out more content that's not just the back of somebody's head after they finished it? And you've kind of taken like what you do with Popular Nobody and evolved that into its own brand. I want to talk about that for a second, but can we talk about where did Popular Nobody come from in the first place? How did that happen? Because it makes me smile every time I mention it. But like, where did it come from? How did you get to it? And what made you go like, dude, this is what I got to own?
Well, I'm glad you appreciate the brand name that we created.
I do.
It was simple. Like, I'm very humble. For all my success that I have, I'm very humble.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a lot of people in this industry that, we're known inside our circle. But when you walk outside of your circle, you're not known. So I might be known in the hairstyling world, but to somebody that's a plumber, I'm a nobody.
Right. Yeah. Walking to the airport, you're not getting accosted by random strangers.
Right. I don't have TMZ waiting for me at the airport. But,
well, and you've been on the road with people that literally have had that, right? Like on the road with Eminem and all those people. Like those guys are getting stalked all over the place.
Yeah.
So I mean, you kind of, to your point, like it's a very different juxtaposition. To your point.
Right. And so for us, it was an organic client to stylist situation where it was like, bro, your work is everywhere. You don't boast and brag about it. You just do your job, and nobody knows it's you. Yeah. You're kind of like a popular nobody. And then there it was.
Nice. And so, and to your point, and then you just took it, owned it, and have now run with it. Which, by the way, you've got some good merch. So I hear, being from working with some people, you've got some great hats. You've got some great shirts. Are you cool if we give away a hat and a shirt on the show today?
Man, give it away.
All right, guys, if you want to get access to some of the Popular Nobody gear, because I love it as a brand, and hopefully I can get access to some too, but do me a favor and say swag down in the comment section, and I'd love to make sure that we put you in, and we'll pick one of you guys out from the show to actually get some of the gear from John, so you guys can take a look at it. But
now, once they get the gear, they have to tag us in it.
Clearly.
And let us know that they got it, and they're happy about it, and they rep it.
Yeah, I want to see that you actually put it on and have rocked it, and you wear it appropriately, hopefully even to the salon. So, dude, John, okay, so let's go back to this idea. Speaking of creating a brand, speaking of creating an image, like I said, there's a lot of stylists in a salon. Like, how do people start going about, and I'm going to rewind back even one more question. How do people go about deciding if they should even try and build their own brand like that versus if they just want to do something like, does the average stylist or barber really need to build out their whole brand on Instagram? Like, when would I know as a stylist that I need to like really brand myself out versus like, it's okay if you just post a couple pictures of my work? Like, what's the difference?
For me, it was more or less like I wanted to develop and do things further than the hair industry. And
God.
so that's what made my final decision of the brand. I wanted to help other young artists get an opportunity to showcase and to the world by using the connections that I've made and the groundwork that I've laid down. So that's where the whole brand thing became about. That's where the whole team thing became about, because it was more or less like I want to show other artists not to make the mistakes. You know, you want to be a successful artist, not a broke artist.
Yeah.
A lot of companies take full advantage of people and only say like, oh, we'll give you some free product, or we'll give you this, but or we'll throw you on our Instagram, and that doesn't necessarily pay everybody bills.
Yeah.
So when we created the brand, it was bigger than just the hair industry. It was more or less like a life, more like a community, more like a family, more like a friendship. And that's what we did. And now we have about 21 artists underneath the brand that all represent one thing, and that's a family bond, and that's a family love. Like, and we show that, and you genuinely see that either if we're on stage together or if we're just out and about together. You look at us and be like, yo, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
And that's what it was. I just wanted to continue something different and not become like a management group, but more so guidance, a guidance group. We're about to start a foundation. And, we're trying to do a lot of different things to help people get into the beauty industry and give them an opportunity to have a great life like we're having.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really becomes, to your point, that whole lifestyle. So how, I mean, because again, for you, your idea was, I want to go something outside the brand. I want to be able to give back in a big way. I want to be able to do it. What advice would you give to somebody who's like, look, I just want to have a much better Instagram page and figure out what it's about? Like, in your mind, what do they need to be creating right now? What should the average barber or stylist be creating?
I think the average barber or stylist should be creating not a character. They should be creating who they are. They should be developing who they are as an artist. And let that be the true sense of who they are. When you sit back and you try to develop characters, you have to play that role the whole time.
Right, and it's going to be exhausting.
Yeah, it's going to be exhausting. You can't walk out of the house without your costume on. You know what I mean? And it's like when you do that, you gotta be able to sit back and notice that the easiest person to sell a brand is going to be you, because if it represents you, then it will represent the world, and that's kind of what we did with Popular Nobody. It's brand recognition through the world's eyes.
Yeah, of who you already are, basically. So the other
who you already are, just sell
who
you already are. Just constantly work at who you are, and your brand will continue as you grow.
Yeah,
your brand will grow.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've talked to a lot of influencers kind of in that space on like, really the people who've done really well with their own branding, what they're doing, are really big on like, look, this is about developing you. Do you have any tips or any suggestions on how people go about developing them more? Like, where do you go to a class? Do you read a book on it? Do you like ask your friends and family, like what makes you you? Like, what would you say? Like, how have you gotten more comfortable with who you are over time?
Honestly, I don't really read books a lot. I listen to certain people. Eric Thomas is a big influence of mine. Gary Vee is a big influence of mine.
Sure.
So I listen to people that pretty much have the same type of hustle mentality I have, that same type of grind mentality, that same type of grit. And it helps you, like, in your mind, start putting and pulling things together and saying, okay, he did it this way, and this is the same type of personality that I have. It might work for me. And then you go in and you tweak it from what you already know. And then you kind of hone it in and make it your own. It's like everybody's running to salon suites right now, right?
Right.
But when I came up, there was no salon suites. So I was in a barbershop with 7 other guys. So with 8 of us in there, I got to develop and hone my skills from 7 other people.
Yeah, not
just me.
So I like what you're saying about this. Is it like from your perspective, it's less about like, okay, just go find yourself in the woods or something. You're saying like watch some people, follow some people, like start adopting some of the elements that they have, but then start adjusting and tweaking it and making those things your own. So you can kind of carve out like, this is the piece that I need, that's the piece that I need. Like that's what makes up who I am. Is this amalgamation of all these other people that you're following and being inspired by? Yeah.
Correct.
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk, who's like not even in the industry, like he's in the social media industry, but not in the hair and beauty space, right? So are there other people outside, like you have some inspiration inside, some inspiration outside? Like who do you follow? Who do you pay attention
to? Inside, I really don't look for inspiration inside of our industry. Mm-hmm. I kind of like, I look at people and say I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching their success. But as far as like being like, oh, I look up to them, it's not really there. Like my mother's in the hair industry, and I had a hell of a mentor in home from this industry. I had a hell of a mentor in my sisters, cousins, aunts. I'm from a beauty industry family. Yeah. So that was where my mentorship came from. That's where my inspiration came from. Outside of that, like I said, I look at certain athletes. Marshawn Lynch, he did something in the NFL where he was this beast mode, and he did the Marshawn thing the Marshawn way. And I like that about him. He didn't let the NFL change who he was and who he, grew up as to make it fit for the NFL. Same thing. Draymond Green, full of passion, full of love for basketball. So I follow guys who's passionate, or not even just guys, ladies as well, who's very passionate about their craft and they dedicate themselves to their craft. That's what I follow.
Got it. So to your point, it's more of just people who are dedicated to what they're doing, and obviously you are dedicated to what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be working as hard. You wouldn't do what you do. I mean, when you say work ethic and you say hustle, like what does that mean to you? Like what is like I know we keep saying work ethic and hustle and all sort of stuff, but like what does that mean to you? Like how do you stay there?
Long nights, late flights, stacking. We all got the same watch.
Right.
We all got 24 hours. Maximizing the 24-hour clock that you have on your wrist or on your cell phone. Maximize it. That's what it is for me. What can I do in 24 hours? So if I got 24 hours, I'm actually about to try to make it 36.
Yeah.
With the amount of work that I'm putting into it. I'm not going to sit back and say, oh, I could do this. Not whatever we could do in 24, let's see if we could drop that down to 18 so we could put another set of work on top of that 18.
Yeah. Got it. So you're trying to figure out how do you stack it? What do you do with it? How does it move? So how do you see, and I appreciate you answering that, man, like how do you see, because I think work ethic comes up a lot when we're talking about other people. I think you mentioned, salon and suite rental and all such stuff. And like in our academy, we predominantly work with commission-based salons because suite rental is kind of this whole different beast that it's hard to like unite people and unify and bring them together in a suite rental scenario. I guess what I want to know is you travel all over the country. You go into salons, you do these big shows, you do all these things. How do you see the industry evolving with the hairdresser and with these barbers? What do you see as far as work ethic changing? I mean, do you see it changing? Is it different? Is it worse? What do you see out there?
When I started doing this, man, you would not see a barber at Premiere. You would not see a barber at Long Beach. You would not see a barber at Las Vegas.
Right.
You wouldn't see barbers honing their skill set because it was the attitude of, I know it.
Oh, like it just, so as barbers in general, they were like, no, I got this.
Yeah, but now you're starting to see like a bath bomb just exploded with now color, now texture, now scissor work. So now you're starting to see the merger of the industry happen where it was before like a standoff, like Cosmo's on this side, Barber's on this side. And now Cosmo wants to work with Barbers, Barber wants to learn Cosmo. Mm-hmm. So it's like crossing over completely, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah. What do you think's going to change with them crossing over and with people being able to share industry information between the two? Like, what do you see happening?
I think we're about to run into an industry that is going to pretty much, we already run the world, but now we're going to take over it because you have so many creative, talented, ambitious individuals that are all growing as business owners as well. Right. So you're going to see a great deal of entrepreneurship happening from our beauty industry. And that's what I love to see because I'm great at what I do as far as behind the chair, but what I'm aspiring to be is like a Jay-Z, like owning stuff and being able to develop more people and helping more people and building and building and building. And I don't think it's just me. I think you're going to see it from a bunch of people in our industry.
Gotcha. Like that. So that crossover is going to carry into more people being driven to create more, do more, expand, and create that next level. Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very cool, man. So what do you think, like salons and barbershops? Because we do this thing we do called Evolution Revolution, and we talk about how the industry from 10 years ago is completely different than it is today. I mean, would you agree with it, with that the industry has totally changed, the game is completely different now?
Yeah, it's a whole nother world now.
Right, it's a whole nother world. So I guess my question to you is, how would you advise like salon owners, barbershop owners, like what do they need to know about what's changing and what's going on? What do they need to be tuned into?
As a salon owner, you still have to be very aware of the industry. Some people own salons because the beauty industry is a booming industry. So they get into it and just own it, but never listen to the stylist, never listen to the barber about really what it is about this industry that they love. And so I feel like just being conscious of the evolution that's happening. Some of the salon owners go to shows. Sometimes you might have staff members that can't afford it, but you know it by their paycheck, but you wouldn't know it about their brain. Like knowledge is power. So if you got a stylist that can't make it to a show, you got a staff that can't make it to a show financially, sometimes that owner needs to step up and just pay for it, because that's only going to make your shop and salon even better. It's going to change the level of energy. It's going to bring everybody up to a level of happiness. People are going to come to work. One thing that I do, a lot of stylists say, I don't have time to take pictures of my work. I don't have this and I don't have that.
Right. Like I don't have the camera gear. I don't have whatever. I don't know how to take photos. Like all that garbage comes up, right?
So you know what I look at? I look at the owner. Go to a photography school and find a photography student. Trade them hairstyles or haircuts and color for work.
Yeah.
Let them come in on a Saturday or Friday and shoot content all day long for your staff.
Yeah.
What that does, that brings the level of image up for your stylist.
Right, brings everything up.
They're going to come to work with makeup on. They're going to do their hair. They're going to know, like, hey, this camera guy's coming this day. We gotta be on point. But then they're going to elevate their work level too. So their work that they're going to put out is going to be amazing. So then it's like, let's make this beautiful.
Yeah.
So then you get the salon content up. You get the successful stylist up. The imagery is there. Now you got headshots. Your clients look like supermodels now on Instagram. But it all comes back to revenue. It all comes back to revenue.
So say more about that. What do you mean it all comes back to revenue? So you've got these photographers coming in, everybody's stepping up. What do you mean it all comes back to revenue in your mind?
Yeah, so why is it going to bring in revenue? The reason why it brings in revenue is because when the photos go out, the staff looks great. The salon looks great because the salon is going to be clean. The work that's being put out is going to be the best because there's a camera on.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't want this point to get missed. And by the way, if you're loving this, do me a favor and say loving it in the comment section. And here's the thing, man, is like, I love what you said. Is a lot of people are like, how do I get my staff to clean up better? How do I get my staff to show up in the proper work attire? How do I do that? In your mind, if I heard you answer this right, like you just said, the way in which you do that is you have them step up everything. You bring in a photographer, they're going to come in their best. It's like you're not going to go to a wedding in your junkiest clothes, right? Like you're not going to go in your pajamas. So like if you've got a videographer there, a photographer there, like, and you're on camera, you're coming to be on camera instead of coming to meet, your 15 clients for the day, right?
Yeah, think about it. We always say we want to get our clients camera ready. So that means they got to look their best. So why can't we be camera ready as well?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. What are some tips, John, for you? Like, what do you tell, people that you interact with, especially when you're out on the road and as you're interacting with them? And what questions they ask you most often? What kind of things do you get asked from stage?
Most of the time, like my classes are different, so I teach a lot of technique-based stuff.
Yeah.
But then I also go in depth a little bit more, like tool knowledge, product knowledge, with me being the face of Maverick. Mm-hmm. So I kind of get in a little bit of, I diversify my classes so that everybody's happy. But one of the things is like, how do I cut to a certain system, or what techniques did I use to create softness and texture inside of a barbered haircut. Um, what else? How did I build my social media? How do I continue to use content? What motivates me to like keep going and all of that. So
So let me ask that. I mean, we kind of asked about the motivation piece. What would you say about building a social media following? Like, what have you found that's been helpful for you? We talked about the brand element of it, but what? Give me some actions here that you've taken that have been helpful. And like, have you tried some crap that just didn't work, and you're like, hey, there was the 11 things that just didn't function for me? Because we've all done that, right? Like, there's all been that, like, yeah, I thought that was going to be amazing, and it totally flopped. Give me some war stories. Give me some good ones too.
Sometimes people would look at my work and say my work is Photoshop.
Ah, okay.
So it's a lot of that going on in the industry.
Because people assume that that's what's happening, yeah?
Right, because everybody else is doing it. So what I started to do was with my Instagram, I'll sit back down with my wife and we talk about this all the time. What can we pay attention to? So one thing that I did was I'll post a picture of the haircut.
Yep.
I'll post a picture of me doing the haircut, and I might show you a video clip of me doing the haircut. And what that brings a realistic base about it. Like, no, this guy is actually putting this work in. He's showing you him doing the work. He's showing you the steps of the work.
Yeah.
And so but what it also does is set your social media up to a storyline. So now on Instagram you post three pictures, right? So now if I just said a picture of me doing it, a picture of the haircut, a video clip of it, it kind of all goes together.
Yeah, and I think, again, it goes back to that idea, right, where a lot of people are like, okay, back of somebody's head, right? It's like the back of somebody's head, or here's them in front of our pretty wall or whatever it is. But to your point, you are telling the story through the entire process, right? From what you're looking to create, what you want to do. And I'm looking through your Instagram, and actually, I don't know if I can play it. Let me see if I can put it up right now. I'm going to see if I can put it up on the screen here. But if you look through a lot of what you've got here on your Instagram page, right, and I'm scrolling through this as we're talking right now, is a lot of this on here, right? You've got, pictures of you on a big stage cutting hair. You got pictures of you talking to people, and you got haircuts, finished products, all this stuff. And to your point, that eliminates that idea that people will then question it and say it's Photoshop because they've seen it from start to finish, right? Like they see that you're in it, and you're not Photoshopping a freaking video, for crying out loud, right? Like
no.
that motion graphics budget is borderline on Disney, yeah.
That's on Disney. That's on Pixar. That's
what they get. That's what they get, right? So awesome, man! I love that idea. What other things have you done that was not so helpful for you?
Posting pictures of food.
Food. All right.
Posting pictures of food. Posting pictures of shoes.
Yeah.
Just taking that aspect away. People, you got to know what your target audience want. And before, when I started my Instagram years ago, I didn't know what they want, so I was just doing what I thought was cool. But I never looked at it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started removing that type of stuff. I had a conversation with somebody that works for Instagram, and he sat down on the phone with me for like an hour and was like, "Let's go through your Instagram. Let's look it over. Let's see what this looks like." And when he did that, he was like, "Okay, look at this amount of likes, and then go to this picture and look at this amount of likes." What I realized, like, a lot of my haircut photos don't get a lot of likes, but photos of me doing a haircut, I get a lot of likes.
Yeah.
So it was just taking that time and understanding, like, filtering out what it was.
Yeah, what do people want to see? Just a random photo of somebody's head that they don't recognize, or you doing something that's getting the attention that you want, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then kind of scaling that out.
Yeah, so for people I would recommend, like, your work is beautiful. I used to do a lot of the before and afters. That didn't work well for me.
Yeah.
Because you got this ugly haircut sitting right on the front thing that people see, and they're like, "Oh, heck no." Like, what is that? Yeah. And then now you got... So for me, I normally stay away from before and afters because of that. That was kind of like those learning curves that I learned. People don't care about the transition. I'm not a colorist, so they don't want to see the story behind the color. I'm a barber. They want to see what the end result is: clean lines, soft blends, texture work. They, so I'd rather give you a video of me showing you how to execute that,
Yeah.
and a finished picture of the haircut.
Right, but those are the elements that, again, you found that you've seen the most success. You kind of, I mean, the good news is you're giving me the stuff that doesn't work and the stuff that is working all at the same time. I freaking love that, right? It's just the idea of like paying attention to what's getting the attention, paying attention to what's getting the likes, and getting people to move and function. And yeah, to your point, man, I'm looking right now. You know, a photo of you, 530 likes versus a photo of like some merch, for example, 200 likes. Like people love seeing you doing work. Like your hands in somebody's hair, giving somebody a cut is getting the most attention, hands down, through all your stuff. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, dude, I don't know how to say this right. You've seen the Instagram husband stories. Have you seen this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-uh.
Where it's like the wife is like the Instagram celebrity and the husband's like taking pictures of the wife all the time. I have to know, is your wife the Instagram wife? Is she the one taking all these photos? Do you happen to have a full-time photographer with you all the time? Let's sell it out right here once and for all.
Oh, man. So the question was just asked.
Now you got to sell her out.
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah.
Are you my Instagram wife where, like, you take all the pictures of me like you're the photographer? Sometimes, yes. You know, but we don't call it that. We call it teamwork.
Yeah, she's not your Instagram wife. I got you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, sometimes like Premiere, we had one of our team members here with us taking photos, and she of course jumped in and behind the camera, and she was taking photos. But we all do it for each other, you know. And then I do have a camera crew that's on our team that will actually come events, and like a lot of our video content is from our camera crew.
Got it. Yeah, because I mean, it's clear you've got people that are on your team that are doing some great stuff. I mean, I will say, like, it's one thing to be doing a bunch of selfie videos, it's another to like have a whole video crew with you. Like it shows, is all I'm saying. I mean, it really does that. What would you say, like from a production standpoint? What are some of your favorite tips that kind of have helped you produce some really great stuff, like that surprised you, that helped you level up your game on social media, in person, things like that? What were some good level up for you? What were some good level ups for you?
So when we decided to bring on the camera crew, shout out to Brad.
What up, Brad?
When we brought up a camera crew, I needed to know what cameras they were using so that even when they're not around, I could shoot in the same quality and he could still edit for me.
Nice.
So that was one of the things.
So you matched the same gear that your camera crew had, so you take your stuff with you to know what you're getting.
Correct.
Got it. What is that? What do you like to shoot with? People always like to know. What do you like to shoot with? Or what does he like? What does Brad like to shoot with that you've stolen?
Brad shoots with Sony and a Red camera.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's just bringing a Red with him everywhere he goes? That's fine. It's a nice cheap camera. Goes. So you bought yourself a Red? Is that the deal?
No, I bought the Sony.
You bought the Sony Alpha? You shaved yourself about $25,000 worth?
Yeah, I got the Alpha. What is it?
The A7S or whatever it is.
I got the A7 R3 or something like that.
Whatever. Yeah, but the Sony Alpha, that's a great camera.
I got it with me in my backpack right now.
Yeah, gotcha. And so, okay, so to your point, you're turning that stuff in. You've got Brad on your team, and he's taking care of a lot of that stuff for you, shooting, editing, and putting that stuff out. That's awesome. That's a good place to at least be able to kind of get that in there. So, dude, are there any other tips on creating the amount of content that you do? Is it just easy to do because you're out on the road so much? Or do you have any content? Because I think sometimes some people get bored. Right? They just get bored and they get stagnant and they're like, I don't want to take another picture inside the salon in my same chair. Like, how do you help keep the variety going? Or is it because you're doing so many other things, variety's easy?
I learned how to edit myself like iMovie. And now I'm learning how to do a Premiere. You know, so that makes it fun because then you want to shoot more stuff so you can learn how to edit more stuff.
Got it. Well, to your point on pushing yourself more, right? Like, it's like there's another challenge, right?
Yeah, so I think that is big. And never assume what you think will work.
Say more about that.
Like, yeah, you might post, like, this haircut might look really great, but it might not work.
Yeah.
But the story behind the haircut might work.
Okay, so do you still post it, or do you still tell the story and say, hey, this didn't come out the way I want, or do you just mean, like, the in-process stuff still may be usable on social?
So I might take, like, if I'm working on a haircut, I might take a picture of each step of the haircut. and then I'll load the photo of the finished haircut, and that's what I post. But then I might go back later on down the line and put the steps in my story to get my story active, and then tell you to follow the last step. Go to my page to see the end result.
I gotcha. All right, so you're pointing and matching everything as it goes around, move from here to there, and kind of keep directing people from one way to the next, to the next, to the next. Yeah.
Correct.
Got it.
Bouncing them back and forth.
Yeah, and telling them which direction to go. Cool, man.
And even my social media, my Instagram is black and white. That's the thing.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
If I want you to pay attention to something that I post,
you'll pop it out.
Drop color.
Yeah, I saw that. And by the way, just so you guys can kind of see what that looks like, because I still have it up over here. I want you to see it. To your point, this is all in black and white, and then you've got this brand building, effective cutting, all this other stuff. To your point, it pops out as soon as you see one of your posts on there in color. You can draw more attention to it and drag and suck people into a different space. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, dig it. Yeah, good way to do it. So, dude, I know you've got some great classes coming up. You've got some cool things. I want to ask you about kind of your work ethic, but you're actually doing a whole series of classes, right? You're doing this whole series of events called Elements, right? Popular Nobody Elements. Dude, tell me about that for a second. Tell me a little bit about Popular Nobody Elements.
So, Elements is basically a tour with our team members and with the backing of our supporters, Hanzo and Maverick, Paul Mitchell, and we got a few more coming in, supporting it. And it's just basically a 4-hour seminar in different cities about marketing and branding, about building a salon, about being a salon owner. And then we'll get to the haircut aspect, because I feel like so many people right now just want to learn haircutting, but they don't want to learn the art of business.
Yeah, well said.
So it's, for me, it's like, no, let's learn the art of business and then let's learn how to cut hair. Because the more successful business you have, the better artist of a haircutter you will be. And so that's kind of like what the elements are. That's why we named it Elements. Bless you. That's why we named it Elements, was so that we can have all these tied in together. Not just let me teach you how to cut this one haircut, but let me teach you how to grow your business. Let me teach you how to market your business. Let me teach you how to brand yourself. Let me show you how to manage a staff. One of the guys, Sean Casey, Twin Cuts on Instagram, he owns 5 barbershops. So if you want to be a multiple shop owner, why not come to Elements and learn to speak to somebody who owns 5 shops?
Yeah.
My wife owns a salon. I own a salon. Trevor Moose, Taylor Faye, he's a salon owner. You know what I mean? So it's like you have 3 strong individuals, and then when you bring the other part of the team involved, and you bring Hanzo involved, you bring Paul Mitchell involved, we have all these elements that go with us, so that we want to bring that to the world and show you how to make product knowledge, how to use technical cutting. It's just so much. That's why we call it Elements.
Yeah, and I love this whole idea of Elements. Is like it survives around that theme of you and the people that you're around coming together in elements, right? Coming together in elements to make things happen, and intertwining the brand, intertwining business, intertwining hair, intertwining all that stuff. And dude, I'm all about it. I love it. And by the way, if you guys want to get more information on some of those classes, you can go to popularnobodyelements.eventbrite.com. That's right. Is that where I'm supposed to be sending people there,
That's
John?
it.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
Popular
That's
Nobody Elements. Yeah, they can go buy tickets.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, they can go grab all that stuff and go check it out. And again, sometimes people ask me, they're like, dude, Jason, why would you send somebody to somebody else's business classes? Because I teach business classes. But dude, I'm a big fan of sending other people to other people's stuff, because what you've got to say is very different than what I've got to say, different than what anybody else is. And your perspective is completely unique and different. And you're going to be in some big cities coming up. What cities are you off to for the Elements Tour?
Elements Tour, we're going to be kicking off July 14th in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
Then we're in Cleveland, Denver, Portland, Vegas.
Few cities.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And what we try to do, we try to put you in a creative element. So some stops may be a barbershop or a salon, but other spots are actually venues. Like Portland, we have a venue.
Nice.
What else we have? Portland's a venue. Denver is a venue. Dallas is a venue.
Nice.
So it's like we want to put creative people in creative spaces.
Yeah.
Tap into that brain a little bit.
Yep. I love it, man. I love it. We've talked a lot about work ethic. We've talked a lot about your social media. I want to find out, dude, what drives you to hustle the way that you do? I mean, I think, you operate at a different level. And like I said, I think it's sometimes people would just probably say it's exhausting hearing the workload that you've got. what drives you? I mean, you're out there with your wife, you're getting it done. Like, what drives you as hard as you do?
What drives me as hard as I do is the fact that I have a beautiful family that I got to make sure that my kids, if they don't want to go to college, they don't have to. You know, leaving something behind and creating this legacy. Also with our team, you know, I got a lot of people that rely on me to set up the next thing for us and do things like that. So that's big on that. And then I think right now a lot of people say, okay, I want to own a shop. And then when you own a shop, you're tapped out, you're done. I don't never set an end goal for myself because I don't want to stop at that success when I get it. I don't have an end goal. I don't know what that end goal is going to be. I have goals, but
That's
I
a good
don't
way to
have
say
an
that.
end goal.
Yeah, I like that. Like, you set the next goal, but you don't set the, like, when I have this, then I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm never good.
Okay, so let me ask this, because you mentioned this word legacy, and I want to ask this question because I'm a big legacy fan. Like, what do I want to leave behind, either for my kids, for my spouse, like for whatever I leave behind. Like, I want that to be really impactful and powerful. What I want to find out for you, like, what legacy do you hope your work as Popular Nobody, as John Mosley, like, what legacy do you want to leave behind if we look back on your career and say, man, here's what you accomplished. Like, we fast forward this 20 years in the future, 30 years in the future, 40 years in the future. What's the legacy that you hope gets left behind?
Barber turned into business mogul.
Nice. So
That's it.
you mean like for you to turn from barber to business mogul, or for the industry, or for what? Like, you want that to be the, like, that's what I was able to do. Go from barber to full business mogul. That's the story. Write it.
From barber to owning other businesses, not just in the hair industry, but building a brand, pushing other people that's on our brand to start businesses, like mentor. Like, that's the legacy I want to leave behind. Greatness.
Dude, that's awesome. That's good. You know, I was on with I don't know if you know Sam Villa, but I was on with Sam Villa, right? And I had actually just interviewed him right after he had won his Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'm like, dude, it's very rare that somebody earns a Lifetime Achievement Award when they're alive, right? And he was, and I love it. You know, he was like, but don't think I'm done, man. He's like, I'm just getting started. He's like, don't count me out. I'm not like retiring my jersey. He's like, dude, I'm just getting started. And I think that idea, to your point on not having a goal of like, when I get here, then I will be X. You know, it's just a whole different battle. It's a whole different element. So what do you do, man? What are some of the routines that you have, like, on that legacy note? What are the routines that you do daily to keep you focused on that routine and keep you focused on that as your legacy?
What I do.
It's all good, man. Dude, I appreciate the lunch, the flight, the everything. I love that you're getting it all in, bro. It epitomizes your hustle. That's all I'm saying.
Can I get more, please? My routine is I'm very I cut my phone on do not disturb once, so that I can focus on being a father and being a husband. You know, when I'm home, and disconnect from everything else. Second thing that I do is I always I watch a lot of YouTube videos, not on haircutting, but I watch interviews with other people because I know where I'm trying to go is not for hair a lot. It's more or less for being interviewed and being able to public speak and stuff like that. So I watch a lot of interviews that I can relate to. When it comes to traveling and trying to stay healthy and all of that, I drink a lot of Pedialyte.
Okay.
Quiet as kept. I drink a lot of Pedialyte, so my electrolytes are always up. I'm always hydrated. I changed my eating habits on the road, even though right now we're at Macaroni Grill inside the Orlando airport.
Yeah.
But I try to minimize the things that could give me the setback.
Yeah.
If I eat something crazy on the road, then I might get sick, and then it's like, oh, I can't go to class, so I let a lot of people down. So just minimizing that.
I got it. So that's in your routine. That's a big part of your daily, things like that. What would you say, man, if people came and watched you, like what do you think would surprise people if they spent a week with you? Like, if I just hung out with you and I was your cameraman for the week and I was following you around, what do you think I would be the most surprised by in your schedule, or the most surprised that you do?
You'll probably be surprised at how actually silly I am.
Okay.
Like, I'm on social, I stay really kind of like straight.
You are pretty serious. Like, you definitely have, like, I don't know if I can do it justice, but dude, let me see if I got your look.
Look at it. Look at the look.
Is that it? Am I pretty close?
Yeah, that's it.
It's like that's the look I'm looking at. Right, it's there.
Business,
so to your point, that silliness comes out in you when you're hanging out, and I assume that comes through in some of your videos too. I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean,
normally, like on my lives,
yeah,
that's when you're gonna get the silliness sometimes. The kids.
Yeah.
When we're around the team, like I'm silly as hell, bro. Like
that's awesome.
And I think also that goes back to the brand. I'm staying true to who I am. Like when you're around me, I'm successful, but I'm ratchet as hell.
Yeah.
And I love it. You know what I mean? We're actually starting a podcast called Successfully Ratchet.
Nice.
Because it's just basically staying true to who you are. Being like, even though you're successful, you can still be silly. You can still have fun.
Totally.
And so for me, that's what it is. Successfully Ratchet.
I love it, man. And by the way, if you guys have been loving this interview and you like what John is all about, do me a favor, mash on that heart button so he knows that he's got some attention from you, and he's got some really good elements that he's been sharing. Do me a favor, type in the comment section what has been your favorite part of the show so far. I would love to hear a little about this. And dude, John, I just want to say this, bro. Thank you for taking the time, for sneaking in here, sneaking in airport food, hustle, time, knowledge, insights, dropping all these little value nuggets and showing people how to build their social media and build this thing up. Dude, it's been my absolute pleasure. What final thought do you want to leave everybody with? What do you want them to know about you and about what you're doing? And what do you want them to leave this interview with, my friend?
So I got two things. Right now, because Instagram is so famous, people want instant gratification.
Yeah.
But you got to respect your journey. You got to respect your process. Process means time. If you don't have a great attitude, when you write down each letter in the alphabet, it has a number that represents. A is number 1, B is number 2. If you write down attitude equals out 100. So if you have the right attitude, no matter how much work ethic you have, no matter how much knowledge you have, knowledge ends up being, I think, 98. Hard work ends up being 96. But if you don't have the the attitude to match that 98 and match that 96, you don't have the 100.
Right.
You don't have the finish. So respect your journey, respect your process, respect your time. Give it all and have the right attitude while you're doing it. Because your character will take you places. Attitude will take you places. Character won't keep you. So if you got the right attitude and you got the right character in place, you will be successful. And then the last thing for me, the tagline for Popular Nobody is always remain a popular nobody while staying humble and hungry. So if you're humble, everybody want to work with you. Yep. And if you're hungry, you're going to always go find that. And that's our motto, humble and hungry.
Dude, I love it. I'm so grateful to have you on, man. It has been an absolute pleasure to be kicking it with you through the magic, through the chaos, through the crazy, and for getting this thing up and rocking. So, dude, John, it's been my pleasure to hang out with you. Thank your lovely wife for giving up some time.
Thank you.
And for being a part of it. And if you love this show, would you do me a favor? Share it right now. Let other people know about it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for playing along. And John, enjoy your flight, brother, man. Get some more food. Thank you so much for being on with me live, bro. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great flight out to Oklahoma, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. All right, so you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me live. Thanks for being on with me and making this thing happen.
It's time for the sharpest.
Hang on one second. If you guys have really enjoyed the show, do me a favor and share it. Make sure more people know about it. And I hope you enjoyed hanging out with us on this episode of Lessons with Legends. If you want to find more great episodes of Lessons with Legends, you can head over to our page at highperformancesalon.com and look for the Lessons with Legends section, or find it on Facebook, and you can find even more on Lessons with Legends, and watch other great interviews like Sam Villa, Chris Barron. Just a couple weeks ago, we had on Jennifer McDougall. We've got some great people on, Johnny Stellato, and a whole suite of people for you to check out. And I hope you'll catch us on another show very soon. All right, guys, bye for now.